Welcome to Calm Your Crazy. I'm Kiana Lambert, and tonight we are going to be talking about remote viewing. I'm going to go through the history of remote viewing, and then I'm going to correlate different things about that case study history I'm talking about to how I teach reality. And then I'm going to talk about a remote viewing session and how it works, what's involved, and what is actually happening and what you're doing. And then I'm going to walk you through doing your own quick, basic remote viewing session. And at the end of this podcast, I'm going to post the photo. So I record this podcast and then I upload it to all the streaming platforms, but I also have a playlist on my YouTube channel, and I will post this photo at the very end of this episode, which is episode 40. So you can listen to the episode, do your own remote viewing session, and then look at what you were remote viewing to get your feedback and then score yourself as to what you got right. So, sorry, I'm getting a little tongue-tied tonight. I don't know what the deal is. Anywho, let's get started. So this is a brief history of remote viewing, and I want you guys to know that there are different types of interpretations of remote viewing, and this is just one of them. The way that I am teaching this is not the way anyone else teaches it. It's completely adapted from my understanding, from my near-death experience, and how I know how reality works with science. So this is the history of it, though, okay? Remote viewing was started in the 70s through the work of a man named Ingo Swann, who was an artist and a psychic who claimed to perceive information beyond his immediate physical environment. He was so good that he attracted the attention of scientists Hal Puthoff and Russell Targ from the Stanford Research Institute, where they began conducting experiments to determine whether people could accurately describe distant locations, objects, events without using normal senses. The early results were compelling enough that the government agencies took interest, and over the next 2 decades, the government funded various remote viewing research programs, including known as Scan-8 and later Project Stargate. The goal was to explore whether remote viewing could be used as an intelligence gathering tool during the Cold War. As research progressed, Ingo Swann developed what became known as controlled remote viewing, a structured process designed to help separate raw perceptions from imagination and analytical thinking. Rather than relying on spontaneous psychic experiences, CRV provided a repeatable methodology that could be taught and practiced. So throughout the program's history, the viewers were tasked with describing hidden targets, distant locations, military installations, and other unknown objectives. And some sessions produced striking correspondences with the targets, while others were less accurate. By 1995, the program was officially terminated, and the government concluded that remote viewing had not demonstrated enough consistent value for intelligence operations. So it basically went underground. It's still being practiced all over the place all the time, and they do very much advance with it and take it seriously. And I can't say how I know that, but it is very true. So that is the history in a nutshell of how remote viewing started. Now I want to point out that Ingo Swann was a regular human being, consciousness having a human experience, and he wanted to prove that his abilities were real. He was very, very psychic. He could perceive a lot of things. So he was on a specific frequency. Hal Puthoff and Russell Targ, same frequency, studying consciousness and human perception. So they were on their frequency. Ingo was on his frequency, but they were in the same frequency bandwidth, and they magnetized each other because of the focus of what they wanted to accomplish. And that's how reality works. Same consciousness, story is playing out. You can see it right here. Ingo is an artist, has nothing to do with Hal Puthoff, Stanford Research Institute, or Russell Targ. He's just an artist and a psychic who is very good at being a psychic. And then he attracts the people he needs to create a program that has lasted for more than 50 years. All for the purpose of leaving a mark on human history to raise consciousness. Because this program touched thousands of people back then. And who knows how many people it's touched now. And it's given them the seed, the idea that there's more. And it gave it validity because the Stanford Research Institute was the one doing the research. And it gave it validity because the US government was the one funding it. So they just gave validity to consciousness. Do you see how it evolves? Do you see how the story arc in the simulation works? Everything is working towards evolution of consciousness, and this was an insert into the whole story arc of humankind to advance consciousness because they just gave validity to it. So now everybody could open up their belief system and their consciousness to the idea that there was more than just what they were taught. Evolution, right there, in action. So, let's move on. In a session, you are remote viewing a target. A target is anything that you want to see that you cannot see with your eyes. Any place and time, any person, anything, any object, you can remote view anything. Okay? What you are doing is instructing your consciousness to give you information. And a session is when you sit down to do a remote viewing thing. So every time you sit down, that is called a session. When you're going to remote view, that is called a session. What you're remote viewing is called a target. You are going to say things out loud to yourself when you're doing a session because you are guiding your consciousness with your voice, which carries your frequency, to move to that place and describe the target. You are going to be describing the target in your sessions with your senses. So you're going to have to practice using descriptors of your senses. Now, why are we using senses? Because there is no time. So whenever you instruct yourself to go to the target and describe what that target is, that is a place and time that you've already been because there is no time in physics. You are experiencing time because you are creating it, but there really is no time. So as soon as you decide you're going to sit down, do a session, and remote view a target, boom, you have already remote viewed it. And everything that you want to know about that target is going to be downloaded into your brain because your brain is a receiver of consciousness and it moves through dimension. So it's already happened as soon as you have decided that you're going to sit down and do a session. And at the end of your session, you're going to look at your target, which is a picture. And then you are going to score yourself on all your senses that you described to see what you got right about the picture. So that moment in time has already happened instantaneously at the same time. So you have not only been to the location where that photo was snapped, but you are also in the same location where you looked at the photo to give yourself feedback because there is no time. You experience it linearly so that you can have an experience, but there is no time. So as soon as you decide to sit down and do a session, boom, it's already happened, okay? And when you are there, what records your experience is your nervous system. You are consciousness, you are everything, everywhere, all at once. So when you go to that location where that picture was snapped, your consciousness then downloads the information of that avatar that was there in that location and everything that was going on. And that is recorded into the body as senses. So you're going to be using your senses to connect and then describe the senses that you were feeling in that photo at the time and that point of consciousness. Because everything you experience goes into the quantum unified field and you can grab onto it and tune into it and download it. It's just like a computer. So that is what's happening when you're doing a remote viewing session. And the reason that I tell you that we are going to describe things with your senses is because that is how memory is encoded into your body. So when you were that avatar in that picture, that human at that point of time in consciousness, your body recorded the environment. That went into the quantum unified field. You can connect to that and feel what you were feeling then, or what that point of consciousness of you was feeling then. It gets recorded as emotion, senses. So what did you see? What did you feel? What did you touch? What did you hear? Those are the things that you're going to be asking yourself in the remote viewing session. And then you are going to draw with what you see, and you're going to ask yourself prompting questions for all of this, okay? So that is what is happening when you're doing a remote viewing session. You are sitting down into a session. You are going to a target, which is a location, and you are describing that location and that target. So you're going to sit down, and this is where you need to pause this and go get a blank sheet of paper and a pen. You need a blank sheet of paper because the lines on regular paper are going to distract your brain. And you don't need the lines to distract your brain. You need to be able to see clearly in your mind's eye. So you need to get a blank sheet of paper and a pen. The way that you structure this session when you sit down is important because you are training your brain right now. We are doing brain training. And it's going to be this way every single time. And you are telling your brain that this is something important so that whenever you continue to do it, your brain strengthens the bond and the signaling between what you are trying to do and your pen and paper. And it's a muscle. It takes practice, but your brain will get better at it. And when you start this, I want you to remind yourself you've already been there, you've already seen the target, you are everything, everywhere, all at once. And your point of consciousness is right now, and you are pulling information from the quantum unified field. So this is what you're going to have to do every single time. This is signaling to your brain that you are about to begin a remote viewing session. So on the right-hand side of the paper, you want to write the date. And on the left-hand side of the paper, your name. I am going to guide you through this session. The things that I say to guide you, you are going to have to say them out loud to yourself when you are guiding yourself through a remote viewing session. You are going to write the words down that I say. So when you begin the session, you are going to write these words down. Begin session. That signals to your brain that the session is starting. You also want to write the page number on the very top right-hand corner as well. And for every subsequent page, you are going to write the page number. You don't have to repeat the date or your name, but you're going to repeat the sequential number. So page 1, then page 2, then page 3, and then page 4. You want to do this so you don't get your session mixed up. So after you write begin session, you are going to write the target is at the location. Move to the target and describe. You are commanding your brain to go to the location and to describe the target, which is the location in time and the photo that captured that location in time. So you are going there. You are commanding your consciousness to go there. Now, I want you to do this exercise, and it's a doodle. And what you are doing is strengthening the relationship between your handwriting and your brain thinking. So after you tell yourself the target is at the location, move to the location and describe, you are going to immediately start to doodle. Just let your hand go free and just write whatever it wants to write. Words, scribbles, anything. You just want to let your mind go blank and scribble. This is going to strengthen the relationship between your brain and your hand. And it's also going to regulate your nervous system. So you want to breathe while you're doing this and exhale long and slow. And just keep doodling until you feel ready to move on to the next phase of the session. Stay here as long as you want, and you can pause it here and just doodle and come back when you're ready. Now you're probably going to take up most of the page doodling, so you want to get a fresh page and put the page number 2 in the top right hand corner. And if you need to use this page to doodle, go ahead. If you're not doodling, then we are going to just start describing the target. Now we are going to use sensing, prompting questions, and you are going to describe using descriptors. So for example, you are going to write the words down and then start describing. So the words that you write down are, what does the target smell like? And the descriptors you want to use are everything you smell. What does the target smell like? What are you smelling? Anything goes. Whatever comes to mind is the right thing. You don't even have to actually smell it. If you think of a smell, same difference. People think differently. You don't actually have to smell it. But write down what you're getting the sensation of. Does it smell like fish? Does it smell like sulfur? Does it smell salty? Does it smell like fresh bread? Does it smell like a bathroom? Does it smell like home? Does it smell like cinnamon? Does it smell like Christmas? Use some descriptions that only you have for this. Describe everything that you smell. Take your time. Now we're going to move on to the next one. And you can pause it at any point. Now we're going to write down, what does the target sound like? So this can be interpreted in different ways, but it doesn't matter. Your consciousness knows. So what do you hear? Anything that you hear can go. It can be valid. So what does the target sound like? You're basically asking yourself, what is it? What do you hear? What are the sounds you hear? Remember, memory is encoded with senses. You've already been there. You have the answers. Whatever comes up is the right one. Write down what you hear. Do you hear birds? Do you hear laughter? Do you hear city noises? Write down everything that you hear. Now, you don't want to make an assumption of what it is or what you think it is. Just write down what you hear. Now we're going to move on to some other ones. What does the target feel like? This is a big one. You're at the target. What do you feel? Do you feel happy? Do you feel sad? Do you feel angry? Do you feel numb? Do you feel joyful? Pick descriptors to describe what you're feeling. Now this next one is different. What does the target feel like? So now instead of feeling emotions, you're asking, what does the target feel like texturally? What does it feel like to your skin? What do you feel when you touch it? What is the texture? Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it smooth? Is it rough? Is it sandy? Is it gritty? Is it wet? Write down all your descriptors. Now ask yourself, what does the target taste like? And you could use some of the same descriptors you used previously. Does it taste salty, sweet, gritty, tangy? Whatever sensations you taste, write those down. So you want to go through all the senses that you can think of, asking yourself, what does the target blank, so that you can know and connect to the target and what it looks like, what it feels like, what it tastes like. We've gone through all of those, and then at the very end, you want to command yourself and write the words, draw the target. Now the writing is important because you're moving information between your left and right hemispheres, and you're connecting your brain with it. So it's really like a 3-for-1 special when you learn how to do this. So remember how you were doodling? Let your mind go blank, and then draw what you see at the target. What does the target look like? And just start drawing what you see. Now when you are done, you need to signal to your brain, end session. This signals the end of the session to your brain. And the more that you do this, the more that your brain will automatically pick up and then shut off when you need it to. It's brain training. So, when you are done with this episode, look at the photo. And whenever you go to see what you've gotten correct, this is how you need to look at it. You don't just judge what you see in the picture. If you are in the middle of the city and there's a picture of somebody in the city, you went to that point in time when that photo was taken. So what did you hear? City noises, right? So if this person's sitting in the middle of city blocks, you're going to hear city noises. If it was there, if there was a possibility that whatever you tasted, sensed, or anything was there, it is correct. If you were at a park and you heard birds and laughter, but it wasn't in the picture, could it have been in the picture? Yes, because you went to that point in time with your consciousness. You took the information from there. So even if it's not in the picture, you can reasonably assume that there are birds in nature and children at a park laughing. Trust yourself. This is an exercise in self-trust. You got it right. Now, go through every single little thing that way and remind yourself, I was there. This is the information I got. Now, obviously, if you're describing a beach scene and the picture is somebody in the city, then there's a discrepancy there, right? So there's limits. So do your best to make sure that you are giving yourself a fair shake with what you see. If somebody is eating something and you tasted salty and tangy and sweet, that's right. They're eating something. You were there. This is a lesson in self-trust. So, you don't have to add up points or anything. You just have to congratulate yourself on what you got correct. Put a big check mark by it. Circle it. Give yourself a happy face. Do a happy dance. The more that you give feedback to your brain and reward yourself, the more the brain interprets that as positive reinforcement, and then it's going to do better for you the next round. You will get better information. You will be more confident the next round. So we're going to recap that real fast, okay? When you do this in the future, you can get different pictures, print them out, put them in different envelopes, and mix them up, and then choose one at random, and then use that as the target. Or you can get photos online and then randomize them and just pick one, or have somebody pick one for you. Send them a group of 5, ask them to pick one, and then don't tell you what it is, and that's the one that you remote view. And then ask them to give you the feedback of the photo they chose. Feedback meaning they just give you the photo so that you can see what you got. The more that you do this, the more that you are building this self-trust with yourself, and the better that you will get. You can use it to do all kinds of things. You're basically setting up a game for you to play with belief and parameters that give you feedback. So, once you have the target ready to remote view, you're going to sit down, you're going to write the date and the page numbers in the upper right hand corner. The page numbers get continued on the following pages, but not the date or your name. Your name goes in the left hand column, or on the left hand side of the left hand side of the page. Then you begin session, you write those words to signal to your brain that it's time to start. And then you write down the words, the target is at the location. Move to the target and describe. Write that out. And then you start your doodle. Just drawing, let free flow go for as long as you need to while you're doing your breathing exercises. And by breathing exercises, I mean breathe in slow and exhale slow. Exhale slow and long. The exhale matters more than the inhale. We're calming your nervous system. We're connecting to consciousness with this exercise. It's like you're dialing in, opening up your brain to that dimension, that receiver. Then you are going to start asking yourself the prompting questions of what you see, what you feel, what does it feel like, what do you hear, what do you taste, and what does it look like? It is simple, it is fast. And then you want to write end session. You can practice this over and over and over again. There are many other ways, and there are many more complicated ways, and it does get as deep or as complicated as you want it to be. But this is the basics. And you can do this anytime, any place. And it will give you information. And remember, as soon as you sit down and you decide to do a session and to remote view it, you already have remote viewed it. You've been there, you've already seen the photo, and now you're just writing the feedback down. That's it. Congratulate yourself, build yourself up. It signals to the brain, and the brain will do better for you the next time. Remember, you are consciousness having a human experience, and I'm training you to train your avatar so that you can use it to play the game the way that you want to play it. And I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed making it for you. Sorry that I was tongue-tied for a second there. And I will see you next week. Love you, mean it. Bye.